At first light, the Florida Everglades stretches like a living, breathing mosaic, sawgrass shimmering over still waters, herons frozen in their morning vigil, and the horizon burning with the gold of sunrise. Yet beneath that serene beauty, something unusual was stirring in the grass. Tiny figures moved, twitching like marsh rabbits. Harmless, right? On the surface, yes. But what hid beneath their soft fur was anything but natural. These were mechanical, solar-powered decoys, engineered to lure one of the most cunning predators the Everglades had ever faced. Locals called it madness. Scientists called it genius. But as the first cameras began rolling, the swamp revealed a truth both astonishing and terrifying: Florida was attempting to outsmart nature itself. The question hung in the humid air: could humans truly control a predator that had, for decades, eluded them at every turn? The Everglades are not just wetlands, they are a delicate, living web of life, one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. But for decades, this wilderness has been under siege. And the enemy was not pollution or deforestation. It was alive, coiled, and utterly unstoppable: the Burmese python. These massive constrictors, native to Southeast Asia, had turned South Florida into their personal empire. But this invasion was not entirely natural. In the 1980s and 1990s, exotic pet owners flocked to these glossy, patterned snakes, believing they were harmless. Babies fit in a child's hand, charming in their docility. But within a few years, those pets grew to 15 to 20 feet, capable of crushing a deer, or even an alligator. Unprepared for their pets' eventual size and strength, owners released them into canals, swamps, and backyards. Then came 1992. Hurricane Andrew tore through South Florida, destroying reptile facilities and releasing countless snakes into the wild. These escapes became the seed population that would soon engulf the Everglades. For the Burmese python, the Everglades was perfect. Warm, humid, teeming with prey that had never evolved to fear such a predator. With no natural enemies and the ability to lay up to 100 eggs a year, the snake's numbers exploded. Today, biologists estimate tens of thousands roam South Florida, altering the food web with devastating precision. Where pythons dominate, raccoons, possums, and rabbits have vanished. Deer and bobcats have become casualties of ecological imbalance. One python was discovered with a whole deer inside its stomach. In another shocking incident, a python and an alligator fought to the death. The disappearance of smaller mammals has cascading effects: birds of prey struggle to find food, scavengers vanish, and the decomposition of organic matter slows, altering soil nutrients. The Everglades' once fragile ecosystem was beginning to crumble. For humans, the fight was grueling. Hunters waded through chest-deep water, guided by drones and flashlights, trying to track creatures built to disappear. Every python captured seemed to be replaced by two more unseen, hatching silently in the reeds. Authorities spent millions on bounties, removal programs, and research, but the problem only grew. By the mid-2010s, it was clear, brute force alone would not prevail. Pythons had adapted perfectly to their environment, while humans were running out of options. Rising temperatures suggested these predators could expand further north, threatening ecosystems beyond the Everglades. In 2013, Florida attempted something daring: the first-ever Python Challenge. It was part competition, part reality show spectacle. Citizens armed with machetes, airboats, and flashlights were invited to hunt pythons in exchange for cash prizes. The media eagerly covered the event, transforming the swamp into a surreal mix of reality TV and survival challenge. But the results were sobering. More than 1,600 participants brought back only 68 snakes. Out of tens of thousands in the wetlands, the haul was negligible. Humans, no matter how determined, could not outmatch the stealth and scale of the python population. The challenge became an annual event, increasing prizes, training, and technology, thermal scopes, night vision goggles, but the results always circled back to the same harsh truth: the snakes' numbers would keep rising. By 2017, authorities shifted strategy. hiring professional hunters under the Python Elimination Program. These trained hunters received hourly wages, bonuses for captures, and operated on canals under moonlight. They used thermal imaging and tracking devices, but even their success was limited. Each snake removed seemed replaced by another, and the cost of human labor to cover 1.5 million acres of swamp was astronomical. As one biologist later noted, it was like pruning a fire with scissors. Every hunt, every capture, barely made a dent. Humans could work tirelessly, but the snakes were engineered for invisibility. If humans couldn't outfight the pythons, perhaps another ally could: dogs. In 2020, Florida wildlife officials launched an experiment with two specially trained canines, Truman, a black Labrador with soldier-like focus, and Eleanor, a Dutch shepherd bred for precision and courage. For months, the dogs were trained to detect the faint musky odor left behind by Burmese pythons, a scent humans cannot perceive. Trainers hid snakes in crates, weeds, and under waterlogged logs until the dogs could reliably identify them. When they were deployed in the field, the results were remarkable. Pythons that had evaded human search teams for weeks were now being located within minutes. Truman's tail would stiffen, Eleanor would circle, nose low, pausing before freezing in recognition of her quarry. A handler's flashlight would reveal the glimmering scales, and a python was captured. Yet the Everglades are unforgiving. The dog's paws could be sliced by sawgrass, alligators lurked in the waters. Handlers equipped them with cooling vests, boots, and constant hydration. Despite these challenges, Truman and Eleanor achieved something more than just captures. They revealed patterns in python behavior, mapping nests, egg clusters, and migration paths. Even with this success, coverage was limited. A 1.5 million acre swamp required hundreds of dog teams and millions in funding to replicate the effect statewide. But a critical principle emerged: understanding the snake's behavior was more important than brute force. With the dogs proving that scent and movement could attract pythons, scientists faced a bold question: could prey themselves draw the snakes out? Marsh rabbits, once common in the Everglades and now nearly extinct, were ideal candidates. Controlled studies placed live rabbits in secure enclosures, letting their scent and heat spread while keeping them safe. The results were astonishing. Pythons appeared one after another, drawn by the unmistakable signals of prey. Within weeks, more than 20 snakes approached a single site. Success came with controversy. Animal welfare advocates decried the method as barbaric, and some scientists protested. Funding for live bait trials was quickly withdrawn. Yet the principle remained: the snakes could be lured. It was the method, not the means, that mattered. The solution came at the intersection of biology, engineering, and robotics. Scientists and conservation tech specialists designed mechanical decoys that mimicked every sensory cue of a real marsh rabbit: heat, scent, and subtle twitching. Cameras and sensors embedded within the decoys allowed them to monitor python activity remotely. Each roborabbit carried a solar panel to power its systems, capable of weeks of autonomous operation. Anchored inside protective pens, they survived storms, curious raccoons, and even alligator interference. The goal was not to kill the snakes directly but to concentrate them in monitored zones, creating an intelligence network to guide human response. When the first 120 units were deployed, optimism was cautious. Previous human interventions had failed repeatedly. But within days, field cameras recorded pythons cautiously approaching, investigating, and sometimes wrapping around the decoys as if they were real prey. The robots were more than bait, they were scientists in their own right, charting movements and revealing breeding hotspots previously unknown. Beyond practical success, roborabbits changed the mindset of Florida wildlife officials. For the first time in decades, humans were on offense rather than defense. The Everglades, long a realm of patience, danger, and uncertainty, now held a pulse of possibility. Every flicker of a python's tongue, every glimmer of its scales, added to a growing digital map of the invasion, turning a centuries-old problem into a manageable, monitored challenge. Cost remained high, roughly $4,000 per unit, but the insights gained were invaluable. Engineers, biologists, and field teams collaborated like never before, blending technology and ecology to develop strategies once thought impossible. The Everglades remain a battleground, a testament to the resilience of both nature and human ingenuity. Burmese pythons continue to roam, their numbers vast and their cunning unmatched. Yet, through a combination of scent-tracking dogs, mechanical ingenuity, and deep understanding of predator behavior, humans have carved out a new advantage. The story is far from over. The swamp hums with life, both natural and artificial, and the lessons learned here may shape wildlife conservation for decades. One thing is certain, when desperation meets creativity, even the most unstoppable forces of nature can be challenged, though never entirely controlled. In the humid, shimmering wilderness of the Everglades, a quiet revolution is underway. The snakes slither. The robots twitch. And somewhere in the middle, hope flickers. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started.